Imagine there were three qualities that help an avoidant person feel truly safe enough to open up, and only a small number of people naturally have them. Would you want to know what they are? Because what you're about to hear goes against almost everything people usually say about creating deep emotional connection. First, let's clear up one common misunderstanding. Avoidant attachment is not about being cold, uncaring, or heartless. Most avoidant people learned very early in life that depending on others often ends in disappointment. They learned that showing emotions could bring criticism and that being vulnerable could lead to pain. So they built emotional walls. Not because they don't want love, but because they want it so deeply that the fear of losing it becomes overwhelming. Most advice about avoidant people focuses only on what you should avoid doing. Don't chase them. Don't pressure them. Don't become overly dependent. But that's like teaching someone how not to fall without ever showing them how to walk with confidence. The truth is much deeper than simply giving them space. There are certain qualities that make them feel emotionally secure in ways most people never realize. Stay with me, because the first one changes everything, and the next two are even more surprising. The first quality avoidant people truly appreciate is emotional self-reliance. Before you misunderstand that phrase, let me explain. It does not mean becoming emotionally distant or pretending you don't care. It isn't about playing mind games or acting unavailable. It means having a steady emotional center that doesn't depend on constant reassurance or endless validation from someone else just to feel okay. That difference changes the entire relationship. When an avoidant person pulls away, and sooner or later they usually will because it's how their nervous system tries to find balance. An emotionally self-reliant person doesn't immediately panic. They don't assume they ruined everything. They don't convince themselves the relationship is over after one quiet day. Instead, they continue living their life with the same quiet confidence they had before. Picture two strong trees growing next to each other. Each one has deep roots reaching firmly into the ground. When powerful winds arrive, they may bend, but they don't collapse because neither tree depends on the other to stay standing. They simply grow side by side, creating something beautiful together instead of becoming tangled in unhealthy dependence. For an avoidant person, this feels incredibly safe because one of their deepest fears is being overwhelmed by another person's emotional expectations. Many spent years feeling responsible for keeping everyone else emotionally stable, and that constant pressure drained them completely. So when they meet someone who is genuinely happy on their own, someone who chooses the relationship instead of needing it to survive, everything feels different. It replaces pressure with freedom. It replaces emotional obligation with real choice. That's a feeling they rarely experience. Most people can pretend to have this kind of emotional stability for a few weeks, maybe even a month if they're determined enough. But real emotional self-reliance always reveals itself in the quiet moments when no one is performing. Those small, natural reactions expose who you truly are. And that's exactly where avoidant people begin deciding whether they can slowly lower the walls they've spent years building. Keep watching, because what comes next explains why so many promising relationships quietly fall apart without either person fully understanding why. It also shows in the way you handle a cancelled date without making the other person feel guilty or responsible for your mood. It appears in how you respond when they seem a little distant without creating conflict, asking endless questions, or demanding immediate answers. And it becomes clear when you are honestly okay, even if they are not emotionally available in the exact way you hoped they would be that day. Here is the surprising truth that confuses many people. The less you depend on an avoidant person to make you feel emotionally safe, the more likely they are to show up with honesty and real affection. Why? Because you've taken away the invisible pressure that often makes them want to step back. That pressure disappears, and they no longer feel trapped by expectations they fear they cannot meet. Stay with me, because the next quality is even more unexpected, and it explains why some relationships become peaceful while others slowly fall apart without anyone understanding what really happened. The second rare quality is something you could call independent togetherness. It is the ability to be physically close to someone without creating emotional pressure or silent expectations that slowly drain their energy. It means you can enjoy being in the same place without believing every minute has to be filled with conversation, entertainment, or constant proof that everything is perfect. Many people believe connection only exists when people are talking all the time or doing something together every second. They assume silence means something is wrong, that feelings have changed, or that the relationship is losing its spark. But for many avoidant people, some of their strongest moments of connection happen during quiet shared time, when both people simply feel safe enough to exist together without trying to impress each other. Picture two people sitting in the same room. One is reading a book while the other is working on a project they enjoy. Every now and then they look up, exchange a smile, share a random thought, laugh for a moment, then naturally return to what they were doing without either person feeling ignored or rejected. That kind of calm connection may sound almost too simple to matter, but in real life it is surprisingly rare. Most people become uncomfortable when silence lasts too long. Their mind quickly starts creating stories. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe the other person is losing interest. Maybe the relationship is fading. Because of those fears, they feel a strong urge to keep talking, keep entertaining, keep asking questions, or keep proving that the relationship is still alive. Ironically, that constant effort often pushes an avoidant person even farther away because it feels emotionally exhausting instead of comforting. What they truly value is someone who can quietly read beside them while they finish their work. Someone who enjoys a long drive where conversation comes naturally when it wants to, but silence never becomes a problem that needs fixing. They appreciate someone who understands that simply being present can be enough. Real closeness doesn't always require constant performance. It doesn't demand endless words or non-stop attention. Two people can feel deeply connected while each still protects their own space, focus, and energy. That balance creates a sense of peace that many avoidant people have searched for their entire lives. And what comes next may completely change the way you think about emotional closeness. So don't miss the next part, because this is where everything begins to make sense. Most people want to become the sun in someone else's universe. They want to be the center of attention, the main source of comfort, and the focus of every emotional moment. But an avoidant person is usually searching for something very different. They are looking for someone who is like another planet, moving with their own purpose, their own direction, and their own steady rhythm. Two lives can cross in meaningful ways without either person losing themselves. They can share beautiful moments while still protecting their own identity. When you truly enjoy someone's company without needing their attention every minute or constant reassurance that everything is okay, an avoidant person slowly begins to lower their guard. They realize you're not adding another emotional weight for them to carry. You're not asking them to perform, entertain, or constantly prove their feelings. That alone feels incredibly safe. This quality becomes obvious when they ask for time alone. Do you immediately take it as rejection? Do you make them feel guilty for needing space? Or can you honestly support their need for quiet while keeping your own confidence and emotional balance? The people who naturally have this quality don't simply tolerate alone time because they have no choice. They value it too. They understand that healthy relationships include moments apart as well as moments together. They don't see space as something broken that needs fixing. They see it as something healthy that allows both people to return with fresh energy. Keep watching, because the final quality is the one almost everyone overlooks. Yet it may be the strongest reason an avoidant person finally decides to trust someone after years of keeping their heart protected. The third quality avoidant people value more than almost anything else is trust that is built through consistent patterns instead of impressive words. This one is quiet, almost invisible, but it carries incredible power. Many avoidant people have heard promises like, "I'll always be here," from people who eventually disappeared. They've been told they were safe by the very people who later caused the deepest pain. Because of those experiences, big speeches about love rarely comfort them. In many cases, they create even more doubt. Intense emotional declarations can feel overwhelming or even manipulative because actions from the past never matched the words. What truly reaches them is something much simpler. Quiet consistency repeated again and again without asking for praise. It means showing up when you said you would, not once, but over and over, without treating basic reliability like an achievement. It means staying emotionally steady, whether life feels easy or difficult, whether they seem close or emotionally distant, because your stability is not controlled by their mood. It means refusing to punish them for needing space, not after one difficult moment, not after 10, and not even after many frustrating situations. Most people believe trust grows through bigger gestures, stronger emotions, and constant relationship talks. But for an avoidant person, every increase in emotional intensity can feel like more pressure. Every serious conversation about where this is going may feel like their independence is being threatened. Instead, trust grows like drops of water slowly filling a glass. Every respectful action adds another drop. Each one seems tiny at first, almost meaningless. Yet over months and sometimes years, those small moments become impossible to ignore. In everyday life, this means respecting their boundaries with the same kindness every single time instead of only when it's convenient. It means never using something personal they shared against them during an argument, even when emotions are running high and you know those words would hurt. It means staying calm when they shut down instead of matching silence with anger or creating unnecessary conflict. It means giving them space when they need it, then welcoming them back with genuine warmth instead of making them pay for leaving. This kind of consistency is extremely rare because it requires patience without immediate rewards. Most people want clear proof that their effort is working. They want reassurance, visible progress, or signs that the relationship is moving forward. But trust built through consistent patterns often asks you to keep doing the right thing for months before an avoidant person even realizes what is happening. Without saying it out loud, your actions quietly communicate, I'm not becoming unpredictable. I'm not leaving because things became difficult. I'm going to remain emotionally safe. For someone whose nervous system has expected disappointment since childhood, that quiet reliability means more than any romantic speech or dramatic gesture ever could. And here's where everything starts coming together. These three qualities are not separate pieces. They strengthen each other, creating an environment where real trust slowly grows. Once you understand how they work together, the entire picture of emotional connection begins to look completely different. And what happens when these qualities finally come together may surprise you. So stay with me, because the next part connects every piece of the puzzle. Over time, these three qualities begin supporting each other in powerful ways. Your emotional self-reliance allows you to enjoy independent togetherness without feeling ignored whenever they become focused on their own interests, or spend time alone. Because your confidence and emotional balance do not depend on receiving constant attention or endless reassurance, you can stay calm instead of reacting with fear. That peaceful attitude creates the open space where trust can slowly grow on its own. You are no longer surrounding them with pressure or making them choose between closeness and personal freedom. At the same time, the trust that develops through your steady actions strengthens your ability to remain emotionally grounded even when they become quiet or pull away for a while. Instead of immediately assuming the worst, you begin trusting the stability that has been built through repeated experiences rather than temporary emotions. All three qualities reinforce each other like pieces of the same foundation. Together, they create a safe emotional environment for someone who has spent much of their life believing that relationships are unpredictable, risky, and eventually painful. Imagine trying to grow a rare plant that has struggled for years in harsh conditions. Once it is placed inside the right environment with balanced light, healthy air, and the proper care, it slowly begins to grow in ways that once seemed impossible. That is exactly how emotional safety often works. Stay with me, because the next point may completely change how you think about relationships and why so many people unintentionally sabotage the very connection they hope to build. What is especially important to understand is this. Developing these qualities should never be about changing yourself simply to keep an avoidant person interested or using these ideas as techniques to make someone fall in love with you. If you are only acting this way as a strategy, that hidden motive usually becomes visible over time. Avoidant people often notice when someone's behavior feels forced, calculated, or driven by an unspoken agenda, and that usually pushes them even farther away. These qualities only have real value when they naturally reflect who you are as a person. When you value your independence because it honestly feels right for you, not because you think it will make you seem attractive. When you enjoy spending time alone because it genuinely helps you recharge, not because you are trying to appear mysterious or unavailable. And when you stay reliable, because consistency is part of your character, not because you expect a reward in return. The real question is not, how do I become this person so an avoidant partner chooses me? The better question is, are these qualities already part of who I am, or are they qualities I truly want to develop for my own growth? That difference matters more than most people realize. If your heart naturally needs frequent reassurance, open conversations, affectionate words, and regular emotional closeness, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Those needs are real, healthy, and worthy of respect. That simply may mean your natural relationship style is different from someone with strong avoidant tendencies. Compatibility has never been about deciding who is right or wrong. It is about finding two people whose emotional rhythms fit together in a way that leaves both feeling supported instead of exhausted. Understanding what avoidant people value is not about fixing them, and it is not about fixing yourself either. It is about recognizing that different people need different conditions before they feel safe enough to love openly and honestly. Emotional self-reliance, independent togetherness, and trust built through steady actions are not relationship tricks or shortcuts. They are deeper ways of approaching life and connection that either match your authentic nature or they do not. Neither answer is better than the other. We are all shaped by different experiences, different histories, and different emotional needs. If these qualities genuinely describe who you are, you may discover that relationships with avoidant people become calmer, stronger, and much more fulfilling over time. Not because they suddenly become completely different people, but because you naturally create the emotional environment where they feel safe enough to slowly lower their defenses. And if, after honest reflection, you realize these qualities are not the way you naturally connect, that realization is just as valuable. It may simply point you towards someone who enjoys frequent communication, emotional openness, and shared closeness in ways that feel natural for both of you. The purpose of understanding attachment is never to become someone you are not. It is to understand yourself clearly enough to build relationships that feel honest, lasting, and healthy. Perhaps the rarest quality of all is having the wisdom to recognize which kind of relationship truly matches your heart, instead of forcing yourself into one that never feels natural. Because the strongest relationships are not built through endless self-sacrifice. They are built when two people can simply be themselves, and that is exactly where lasting love begins. Over time, these three qualities begin strengthening one another in ways that are easy to overlook at first, but incredibly powerful once you see the pattern. They don't work separately. They support each other like three pillars holding up the same foundation. Your emotional self-reliance allows you to enjoy independent togetherness without feeling ignored, rejected, or forgotten whenever they become absorbed in their own hobbies, work, or quiet moments. Because your confidence and emotional balance are not built on constant attention or endless reassurance, you don't panic every time they need space. Instead, you remain steady, calm, grounded. That emotional stability becomes something they can feel even without you saying a word. Your peaceful presence sends a message that no amount of reassurance ever could. It quietly says, you are free to be yourself here. And for someone who has spent years expecting pressure every time they became close to another person, that feeling is incredibly rare. Most people unknowingly create invisible emotional demands without realizing it. They expect immediate replies, constant affection, endless proof that everything is okay. But when those expectations disappear, something remarkable begins to happen. The relationship starts to breathe. Stay with me, because this is where everything starts coming together in a way most people never expect. Your comfort with independent togetherness creates the open emotional space where trust can slowly develop on its own. You're no longer surrounding them with pressure or forcing them to choose between closeness and personal freedom. Instead, they begin discovering that they can have both at the same time. That realization changes everything. Little by little, their nervous system starts learning that closeness no longer automatically means losing themselves. They begin relaxing in ways they may not even notice consciously. Conversations feel easier, silence becomes comfortable instead of uncomfortable. Time together starts feeling peaceful instead of emotionally demanding. That is the environment where real connection quietly grows. At the same time, the trust that develops through your steady actions strengthens your ability to remain emotionally grounded even when they become quiet, distracted, or temporarily pull away. Instead of immediately imagining the worst, your confidence comes from repeated experiences rather than passing emotions. You've seen the pattern enough times to understand that distance does not always mean rejection. You stop reacting to every temporary shift because the relationship has already shown you something much deeper. Together, these three qualities build an emotional foundation that feels safe for someone who has spent much of life believing relationships are unpredictable, painful, or destined to end in disappointment. Imagine caring for a rare plant that has struggled to survive in difficult conditions for years. No amount of forcing it to grow will help. It simply needs the right environment, the right amount of light, the right amount of water, the right amount of space. Once those conditions exist, growth begins naturally without anyone trying to control it. Emotional safety works in much the same way. It cannot be forced. It can only be created. But here's something equally important that many discussions about attachment completely overlook. Developing these qualities should never become another performance or another relationship strategy. They should never be masks you wear simply to keep someone interested. If your only goal is attracting or holding on to an avoidant partner, that hidden intention usually becomes visible sooner or later. Avoidant people are often surprisingly sensitive to behavior that feels rehearsed, manipulative, or motivated by an unspoken agenda. Even if they cannot explain why, they often sense when something feels unnatural, and when they do, they instinctively create even more distance. That is why authenticity matters more than technique every single time. These qualities only create lasting change when they genuinely reflect who you already are or the person you sincerely want to become for your own life. You value your independence because it gives you peace, not because someone online said it would make you more attractive. You appreciate solitude because it genuinely helps you recharge, think clearly, and reconnect with yourself, not because you hope it makes someone chase you. You remain reliable because consistency is part of your character, not because you expect appreciation every time you keep your word. That changes everything. The real question has never been, how can I become this person so an avoidant partner chooses me? A much healthier question is, do these qualities honestly reflect who I am? Or are they qualities I want to build because they will improve my own life regardless of any relationship? That answer matters far more than most people realize. If you naturally need frequent reassurance, affectionate words, regular emotional conversations, and daily closeness to feel loved, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Those needs are just as valid as anyone else's. They deserve understanding, not criticism. They simply may fit better with someone whose emotional style naturally matches your own. Compatibility has never been about deciding who is emotionally better or emotionally healthier. It has always been about finding two people whose natural rhythms support each other instead of constantly creating exhaustion. Understanding avoidant attachment is not about changing yourself into someone you are not. It is about understanding yourself deeply enough to build relationships that feel honest, peaceful, and sustainable for both people. Perhaps the rarest quality of all is having the wisdom to recognize where you truly belong. Because lasting love is never built by pretending to be someone else. It grows strongest when two people can simply be themselves, and that is where real emotional safety finally begins.